Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Skaven corruption is spreading like the plague as we have Clan Pestilence facing off against the Beastmen. So for the Skaven, they are going to be led by Ben the Barman, and VM Soder is going to be leading the Beastmen. So for the Skaven army, we do have Clan Rat Spears for that front line, and of course we do have Lord Skrulk leading the army, and he does have the Liber Bubonicus, Rod of Corruption, and he does also have the Pestilent Birth and Vermintide Summons of Clan Rats and Plague Monks. For range support, we do have some Skaven Slaves slingers here, and they will be trying to get some damage over time. They're not going to have any vast damage output, but over the course of a match, they actually can do quite a bit of good work, especially for their costs. On the far flanks, we do have Night Runners and Gutter Runners with Poison, going to be supported by some Wolf Rats and an Assassin. Going to be a set of these on both sides, on the right and left flank, and the Assassin's going to be bringing Rival Hide Talisman and Assassin's Trophy. Also for the flank support, we do have a pair of Rat Ogres as well, going to be providing a little bit of sweeping power for the Skaven. And that's going to pretty much wrap things up for the Skaven forces. Now, going over to the Beastmen side, we do have a Goreherd front line, going to be spread all the way across the map. And on the far side, we do have these Blackhorn Ravagers, who do have perfect vigor. For the rest of the forces, we have Chaos Spawn in the back, going to be charging forward, all monstrous infantry, unbreakable units. Very nice indeed against the Skaven to help really break them and make sure that they don't come back. We have Morgur, the Shadowgave, as the Lord, and he is going to be bringing the Staff of Ruinous Corruption, Spirit Essence of Chaos, as his abilities, giving some even more Chaos Spawn summons onto the field. And for spellcasting, we do have a Bray Shaman of Death, and he's going to be bringing Aspect of the Red Knight, Spirit Leech, and Doom and Darkness. Doom and Darkness always a nice pick against the Skaven, help break their front lines and just kind of nuke their leadership into the Oblivion. On the Vanguard into the rear for the Beastmen, we actually have some Chaos Warhounds with Poison mixed in with a pair of Harpies, looking to get on some of the gun units if there were any, and just providing a lot of backline harass. As the Beastmen are very mobile, so we'll see how they do. They also do have some Razor Ore herds off into the far flank, and that's going to wrap things up though for the armies. So let's get this show on the road as both armies do quickly kind of approach one another. Skaven going to be sending out some Clan Rats to kind of slow down that approach as best they can. Kind of a common tactic for the Skaven to do is just kind of just send out summons of Clan Rats and Plague Monks, make sure that it just kind of mucks up that front line, slows them down so they're not all approaching at the same time. And on the far flank though, the Skaven are going to start skirmishing down the Bray Shaman as well as these Goreherds, kind of slowing them down. Wolf Rats kind of thinking about engaging, but they will pull back as these Harpies and other Chaos Warhounds do kind of converge. So it looks like this flank of this game is going to get a little bit of collapsed down upon as these Night Runners just get sandwiched between these Chaos Warhounds. But the Rat Ogres quick on the draw there, responding in kind as the rest of the front line is starting to slowly engage as the Goreherds and the Blackhorn Ravagers do engage with these Clan Rat Spears. As well, and this game is just kind of content with firing away the Rat Ogres with the Assassin, able to push off these Warhounds, and the Rival Hide Talisman is also popped right now. However, these Night Runners are taking a bit of damage themselves as the Harpies and Chaos Spawn do approach. But these Night Runners, with the poison coming in from this Wolf Rat, should be able to outrun them, and we shall see. But we do have the Bray Shaman and another unit of Chaos Spawn going to be sliding on into that engagement. The Help Abomination finally deciding to engage in that front line. Not a whole lot that the Beastmen can do. They're going to have to try and drag it down with all the Chaos Spawn. But the Harpies doing quite a good work here, getting onto the mobility of the Skaven, shutting down some of the troops here. The Razor Herds also kind of getting pushed off, though, by the Assassin. So the Assassin doing quite well on both flanks, really kind of holding things back. Nothing that can really deal a whole lot of damage to those single entities right now, as the Chaos Spawn are actually getting kind of dragged down, especially on the two flanks. It does look like we have a Doom and Darkness overcasted, getting all of these Skaven units. Now, maybe a little early on the cast there, because it only is going to be possibly breaking this one unit of Clan Rats, and even then it might not even be able to do that. We do have a spawn of Chaos Spawn in the back, trying to pressure these Skaven slaves. Slingers just a little bit pushing them back. We do have the Rod of Corruption going down with Lord Skrulk supporting this, and he is going to be catching these Blackhorn Ravagers as well as these Chaos Spawn, slowly whittling them down bit by bit. Chaos Spawn kind of across the board have started to take damage. That's kind of their best bet against that Hell Pit, because they don't really have any ranged, no archers, no nothing, and I think that's something that they're going to be sorely missing in this late game, as they just don't have anything that I can see that can take down the large targets with the Rat Ogres, and especially that Hell Pit Abomination. Ray Shaman, though, just kind of sitting in the wins here. He does have Assassin's Trophy popped on him, but no current threats in that regard. Though Lord Skrull might have to be a little bit careful here, as he is getting just completely beaten down by all of these Chaos Spawn. The summons is about to dissipate, so that will give him an avenue of retreat as soon as they do dissipate a bit. But we do have the Hell Pit just continuing to just muck things up. Blackhorn Ravagers trying as they can to kind of pluck away at that Hell Pit, and he actually is doing a bit of damage to him. But otherwise, the Skaven in the back lines are getting pressured back and closer to that white line, as the kind of the heavy hitters for the Beastmen are keeping those slingers away from that front line. However, that front line is being supported by Lord Skrull, of course, and he has plenty of summons, but he is taking a bunch of damage as Morgur does finally get into the mix, and he is giving Lord Skrull the beatdown, and Lord Skrull is wavering and does rout here, so the Beastmen can be coming back with that there, and especially if these Harpies do kind of disengage and make sure that Lord Skrull does not come back to that fight, can really help that front line with the loss of the summons and the support of the Liber Bubonicus and the Rod of Corruption can provide the comeback that the Beastmen so do need, as the balance power actually is in the Beastmen's favor right now with the loss of Lord Skrull, and a lot of that front line is just gone for the Skaven, as they pretty much have to rely solely on their Rat Ogres and Hell Pit right now. So they do have the Gut Runners and the Night Runners as well, kind of off into the peripheries, trying to just do a little bit of poking damage. But now that the front line for the Skaven is gone, all of that these Chaos Spawn can provide a lot harder to deal with, and especially if they all coalesce into one big kind of mosh pit here. There's not a whole lot that the Skaven can do, especially with Lord Skrull out of the picture, unless he has been able to come back, and or at least the Assassin has, and so has Lord Skrull. So that is going to be providing a bit of that blob breaking tools with his Rod of Corruption. But otherwise, Skaven continually just getting worn down bit by bit. The other Assassin is going to be getting routed off the field as well, and if the Skaven don't have a response soon, they can see their Hell Pit Abomination and their best hope really going down at this point, because these Chaos Spawn with all the Blackhorn Ravagers and Morgur himself are going to be providing quite a bit of damage, and especially if he doesn't get a heal off on that Hell Pit, then that is going to be even harder for the Skaven. So initially I was saying how the Beastmen didn't have a whole lot to deal with the Hell Pit and the like, but it does look like they are being able to manage as they just slowly beat them down bit by bit, dragging the Skaven down, especially now that they don't have the support of their infantry. They do have some summons coming in, but otherwise, yeah, these Chaos Spawn just proving a little bit too much for the Skaven to effectively deal with, but the balance power is slowly edging back to the middle right now as they get worn down. That Rod of Corruption did a number on the Beastmen, as Lord Skrull does provide that nice little bit of extra support. And Morgur, the Shadowglaive, has taken a bit of damage too, but he has pretty much used up all of his uses. He isn't really the best in melee, but against the Skaven, he can do fairly decently. However, the Bray Shaman of Death is going to be taken out of the picture by the Rat Ogres, and they will escort him off to the edge of the map. And that is going to be a little bit unfortunate, because that Doom and Darkness definitely could have provided that game-winning break, especially with the Beastmen and Skaven kind of all blobbing together. But that Hell Pit is just so low on health right now. He's just trying to stay out of the engagement, regen as best he can, and try and get that Too Horrible to Die. But Morgur the Shadowglaive getting pursued by the Assassin, as both of them, or at least the Assassin here, is routing, but that Morgur is taking so much damage, and in the nick of time, that Assassin does rout, saving Morgur from almost certain death. But in comes the second Assassin, looking to finish off the Beastman Lord, as balance power now back into the Skaven's favor. So a little bit back and forth so far in this match. The Harpies chasing off some of the units, Rat Ogres finally escorting off that Bray Shaman of Death, but Morgur does finally rout with all of these summons all around him. But Lord Skrull needs to be a little bit careful too. These Harpies can swing down, and there are still quite a bit of Chaos Spawn left, and plenty of Gore Herds finally coalescing around this Hell Pit. But they do have to be very, very wary of terror routes, especially with them all so low, and it does look like the Beastmen just running out of steam, unable to finish off the Hell Pit and Lord Skrull, and I think army losses is going to be very close behind, as it's just going to be the Chaos Spawn left, and I don't think that they have the tools necessary and they will be defeated. Let's take a little look at the after battle report. Definitely went a little bit closer than I thought earlier on in the game. That Helpit taking so much damage, I was kind of surprised. I thought for sure that the Beastmen just didn't have the tools to really put it down. It didn't get any of its heals, but otherwise provided a nice little bit of stopping power. Rat Ogres not really doing a whole lot, and the Beastmen did a very good job early on shutting down the I guess the very quick mobility of the Skaven, getting these wolf rats off the field very quickly. They did lose their Warhounds, but they had the Harpies on the field in the late game, Razor Herds as well. But otherwise, Lord Skrulk providing that kind of clearing potential for all those gore herds and the like. Otherwise, nothing really stands out for the Skaven in their build. Just kind of whittled things down. I guess the gutter runners were really kind of the MVPs, getting the most value out of any of the Skaven units. Otherwise, it was just kind of a collective game for the Skaven there. Chaos Spawn doing what they do. Good unbreakable unit, and I think they are pretty good against the Skaven, making sure that they don't get routed, and they do a good job of making sure that the Skaven front line buckles very, very quickly. Prey Shaman, unfortunately, did get pushed off, and I think had it been around in that late game, the Skaven were getting very low on leadership as well, and especially that Helpit. It was at one point it was wavering, and just a single Doom and Darkness on that might have been able to push it off, and they did have the mobility advantage, so they could have easily had one of the Harpies kind of peel off and make sure that thing did not come back. And also allowing Lord Skrulk to come back, I think, was a little bit of a misplay by the Beastmen, because that really provided that with the Rod of Corruption and Liber Bubonicus to put Morgr and the supporting units into the ground. Otherwise, it was a very fun match, very close indeed, back and forth the whole way. So I do hope you all enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.